Chapter 10. Israel is an empty vine. He bringeth forth fruit unto himself. According to the multitude of his fruit he hath increased the altars. According to the goodness of his land they have made goodly images. Their heart is divided. Now shall they be found faulty. He shall break down their altars. He shall spoil their images. For now they shall say, We have no king, because we feared not the Lord. What then should a king do to us? They have spoken words, swearing falsely and making a covenant. Thus judgment springeth up as hemlock in the furrows of the field. The inhabitants of Samaria shall fear because of the calves of Bethaven, for the people thereof shall mourn over it, and the priests thereof that rejoiced on it, for the glory thereof, because it is departed from it. It shall also be carried unto Assyria for a present to King Jareb. Ephraim shall receive shame, and Israel shall be ashamed of his own counsel. As for Samaria, her king is cut off as the foam under the water. The high places also of Avon, the sin of Israel, shall be destroyed. The thorn and the thistle shall come up upon the altars. And they shall say to the mountains, Cover us, and to the hills, Fall on us. O Israel, thou hast sinned from the days of Gibeah. There they stood. The battle in Gibeah against the children of iniquity did not overtake them. It is in my desire that I should chastise them, and the people shall be gathered against them, when they shall bind themselves in their two furrows. And Ephraim is as an heifer that is taught, and loveth to tread out the corn. But I passed over upon her fair neck. I will make Ephraim to ride. Judah shall pow, and Jacob shall break his clods. Sow to yourselves in righteousness, reap in mercy, break up your fallow ground, for it is time to seek the Lord till he come and rain righteousness upon you. Ye have plowed wickedness, ye have reaped iniquity, ye have eaten the fruit of lies, because thou didst trust in thy way, in the multitude of thy mighty men. Therefore shall a tumult arise among thy people, and all thy fortresses shall be spoiled. And shall man spoil as Shaman spoiled Beth Arbel. In the day of battle, the mother was dashed in pieces upon her children. So shall Bethel do unto you because of your great wickedness. In a morning shall the king of Israel utterly be cut off. This chapter in Hosea is so important that it could, if you follow the reasoning and the understanding and the instructions here, have an impact on every single day of your life and all of your eternity. It's not a very long chapter, but the stuff that's here is really important. Now I get asked 3 questions in this one. I'm going to deal with the least important one first and then concentrate on the last 2, which are the major points. The first one, the one that I get asked that's sort of a historical one, is who's this Shalaman guy? And Shalaman is, I believe, short for Shalmaneser, who was a general under Tiglath-Pileser, who was the Assyrian emperor, Assyrian king. And the town that he was capturing was actually called Arbela, which was in Armenia, and it was really one tough fight, and it was famous for it. Now, the 2 most important parts are, number 1, how can I as an individual, how can you as an individual, how can we as children of God obtain mercy from God, which we all desperately need because we're all sinners. We commit one of 2 kinds of sin, or both the kinds of sin. The sins of commission, where we commit a sin, we choose to do something that is wrong. Or number 2, a sin of omission, where we choose to not do something that was right, and in fact may probably do nothing at all, which is different than doing something where we decide to do something wrong. Not doing something right is just as bad. Now, here in this chapter, it makes the point that those people who sow righteousness receive mercy. There is absolutely, and this you must understand because there are churches on the face of the earth that teach contrary to this. There is no promise of mercy to the wicked at all, ever, under any circumstances, for any reason at all, period. I do not believe that you can be a miserable, reprobate sinner knowing that you are sinning all of your life, and then at the last, because you happen to not die immediately and you know you're dying and you're on your deathbed and you say, I'm sorry, and somehow everything is made fine and you go to the head of the line for eternity. That is not going to happen. Period. End of story. Gone. Not going to happen. Heavenly Father expects you to do the best you can with what you know. And if you know to do better, you are going to be judged on the basis of what you knew. That's only fair. And Heavenly Father is absolutely nothing if He isn't fair. And if that fairness condemns you, that is because that's what you wanted. We'll talk about that in the law of the harvest, which is the second part. Heavenly Father tells us that if we show mercy to those that we have something to do with, and if we show love for Heavenly Father and others by, at the very minimum, keeping His commandments, then we will be rewarded with a wonderful eternity. Now, He doesn't say the 10 Commandments. And I want you to understand something here that you really desperately need to understand. The 10 Commandments are not the epitome, the absolute end level goal that you should be desiring to reach, hopefully touch at least once in your life, sort of like scoring a basket in a basketball. The 10 Commandments are meant to be the minimum foundation on which your entire life is supposed to be built. They are all so structured that you only need to make one decision one time to be obedient to them, to have them aced. A one-time decision to be obedient to them, and then they are the foundation on which you build everything, not the ultimate goal you hope to aspire to. That's important. And it needs to be a one-time decision, not a decision every time you come up with the opportunity. Should I lie? Should I steal? Should I cheat? Should I do this? Should I do that? The answer is no. You know what the goal is. You know what the decision is supposed to be. Make it one time and then live with it. That's the smart thing to do. Otherwise, you have never made the commitment and will never benefit from the commitment. If every time you have an opportunity to lie, should I lie about this? No, just plain tell the truth, dude. That's how it goes. Now, that's what you're expected to do. That's the standard. In verses 12 and 13, we have what we call the law of the harvest. And I had a friend who was a farmer, and I've had some very large gardens, not a farm. But I understand the principle. If you want to grow watermelons, you got to plant watermelon seed. If you want to have wheat for bread, you got to plant wheat seed. If you understand that you are going to have a long, long, long eternity, and what you do here is going to directly impact what you're going to be able to do, what you're going to be allowed to do, what you're going to have the opportunity to do, there is entirely dependent on how you choose to live here, how righteous, how honest, how honorable, how loving, how kind, how forgiving, how merciful, how generous. And the better you would like your eternity to be, the more Christ-like you will learn to be here. And you will do the absolute best you can with every single hour, minute of every single day, in every single circumstance you find yourself. You will reap the benefits of the kind of obedience you give, and Heavenly Father is very detailed in the Scriptures as to what's acceptable, what's not, what He wants you to do, and what He wants you to avoid doing. And the reason for the Scriptures is we get to see thousands and thousands of times when people botched it badly. We don't have to make the same mistakes.